It's fall here in southern Indiana. Question is, has that fall bite turned on yet? Let's go find out. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Hey, if you're brand new to fishing, just looking for a refresher course, or simply out for some tips, tricks, and reviews, hey, you've come to the right place. It's absolutely free to click that subscribe button, bang that little bell icon so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Fall has broken out here in southern Indiana. The leaves are changing colors and falling. Water temps are dropping. Cooler nights, shorter days should mean the fall bite kicking in soon. Question is, are they there yet? Most of the big bass I've been chasing on this lake have been hiding in the back somewhere or out deeper. I'm gonna be checking my stump fields to see if they moved up shallow yet and started feeding. The two patterns I've been successful on lately: numbers of fish come on the chatterbait, bigger fish have come off of a jig, fishing kind of slow. So I'm gonna start in a stump row, see if they've moved up shallow yet and they're chasing, and then I'm gonna pick apart a bunch of wood, see if we can find us one. I haven't been on this lake in a month. Been out on public lakes and waters participating in a charity tournament. Well, we're back into the honey hole. See what we can find. Let's get to fishing. Playing in the wind like this, I've got my magnets turned up a little more thumb control, and trying to cast lower so the bait doesn't get hung up in the wind. With these lose reels, you can literally dial them in and cast them and not even have to have your thumb on the spool. But those are in ideal conditions. We've got gusting winds, so I'm just kind of keeping a little better control of it just in case. I'm actually going to go back up into the wind a little bit and then throw a jig at these laydowns. Because right now what I don't see that I thought I might see, which means that tells me that the fall bite truly isn't on yet, being that it's already after 6, so we're within that window of sunset coming, but I don't see any bait fish working. I'm just throwing a smaller black and blue jig with a bigger crawl trailer on it. I like a small jig and a big crawl because the smaller jigs lets me get through more stuff and it falls slower, and then the bigger crawl gives it more action. Now obviously if I was fishing in super deep water, big jig to get it down there, but for me, I'm just, you know, pitching and casting around stumps and lay downs. Might have been a crappie bite. See if I've still got my tail. Fish number 1, little pounder. Man, that is a fatty. Hold on, I gotta get the hook out of the net. You can stare at the inside of my pocket.
Fair enough.
a nice little chunker.
Hey, that's a fish.
Nice little chunker.
Thanks, Pops.
All right, bye.
Bye.
All right, another nice little football on a jig. A little bit bigger than our last one, maybe 1.5 pounds. But you can see they're starting to eat. Let's get you back in the water. Now, one of the reasons people like fishing wood like this when it cools down is like the wood and any kind of rocks, chunk rock, riprap, or just rocks you find along, they'll hold heat. Bass also like cover, but they won't turn down a little bit of heat either. But the key thing about bass is they like structure. A lot of times they like to relate to it. But right now, that's a couple of fish off of wood. But again, I literally expected to see bait fish busting all over. I'm just not seeing that activity yet. Now that last one I caught was a little chunker, so he's been eating. This time of year I could literally fish with 2 baits, chatterbait and a jig. I could leave everything else at home for right now. For all the videos you see of everybody this and that and blah blah blah, it's different in every state. Fish are different, water patterns are different. Everything you see the big boys doing down in the southern part of the country doesn't relate to up here. They're fishing the Florida strain of bass. Those of us here in the Midwest, we run into a big fish here and there, but they're rare. That's why here a lunker is 6 pounds and up, and down south it's 9 pounds and up. It's all relative to what you kind of, have on hand. I haven't caught a 6-pound fish in years that I can think of anyway. I was really hoping to this spring, had we not been shut out, but that's okay. The funny thing is, we all talk about it. I was reading a thread and it cracked me up because the guy was brutally honest. He said, I don't understand how you guys spend so much time, money, and effort on catching fish that you're not going to eat. And I was like, at this point in my life, I only have one goal. That's to catch a fish that's bigger than my biggest fish. Now, my biggest fish when I lived in Texas was 8 pounds and something. My biggest fish here in Indiana was almost 7 pounds. That's the funny thing. I could catch 100, 200, 1,000 other bass. In all reality, I'm only fishing for one thing. And that's a 7-pound bass. Here in Indiana, that is. If I get down to go fish, there's a fish. I guess I better lock my bail. Look at you jumping. Aren't you cute? What, do you think you're a freaking power player or what? You're jumping like you're a monster. Little pounder. Playing like you somebody. But again, another one on the jig. They're not chasing fast. The jig is catching them. So if you're here in the Midwest in the fall right now, they're not chasing your stuff fast. Slow down, throw a jig. Black and blue seems to work, and no matter what the watercolor is. And I put just a little bit of the chartreuse on the end to give it a different blue look. That's a little better. Another nice fish at sundown. Gotta love that. More nice ones. Again, this black and blue jig around the wood seems to be the ticket. Like I said, these last couple of weeks, as we've been in this transition phase, I've only caught them on 2 baits. It was either a chatterbait moving fast because they were in hot pursuit, or dragging a jig near wood. But that's been my pattern since this end of summer, between the end of summer and the start of this cool down. It's either they're chasing and active on a chatterbait, or slowing down and dragging a jig. Either or, those are the 2 main baits this fall. So if you're in the Midwest and you're struggling, tie on a jig and slow down. And it doesn't seem no matter what color the water is, black and blue with a black and blue trailer, or black and blue with a natural, like a green pumpkin with chartreuse tips. But the black and blue jig and not the green pumpkin seems to be it no matter what with either of those trailers. All right, folks, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. We're pretty much out of daylight. I can still see, but the camera quality is gonna be garbage. If you like videos like this, hit that like button. Helps YouTube promote it to other people looking for videos like this. If you have any questions, comments, things you want to see reviews on, let me know. We're going to be doing a whole lot more fishing in the future, even as we're winding down this season. And in the very near future, I'm going to introduce the channel to a new partner of mine. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have already seen some pictures. Until next time, stay safe, get to fishing.